In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a 3D version of your brand's logo. 3D logos can be very useful for brands with many media touchpoints, and having a 3D file on hand can help with that and save you a lot of expenses down the road. In this video, I'm just going to show you how to create a 3D file for your logo using the Votech logo that we've been developing over the past few videos, and stopping here and there to give you some tips. In this video, the tools that we're going to be using are Adobe Illustrator, available through the Adobe Suite, and Cinema 4D, available through Maxon. So let's get to modeling. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do in this process is pull up your Illustrator file containing the vector of your logo. As you can see here, I have the Votech logo pulled up, and the next thing I'm going to want to do is clean it up just a little bit so that when we pull up the Cinema 4D, it's as clean as it can be, and it won't have any problem making a model of this logo when we pull it in. So what I did here is I just went through my logo file and I just removed all of the unneeded vector points in it so that we import this into Cinema 4D, it's as clean as possible. So the next thing I'm going to do, just for my own peace of mind, I'm just going to make all of this black so that none of the pieces are different from each other. And then what we're going to want to do is go up to File and save that as an Illustrator file. And then when you get this dialog box, you're going to want to go to the version and save this as an Illustrator 8 file. Now, this is the only version of an Illustrator file that will import into Cinema 4D, so we can grab that vector. So once we have opened up Cinema 4D, we're going to want to go up to File, Merge, and then search for that file that we just saved. Now, I'm going to bring this in at a scale of 1. And none of this really matters because we're going to rescale it in just a second. So the logo has successfully imported into the scene. So I'm going to pull this up and make sure that it's sitting right inside of my scene here, right at the zeros. This is just going to make it easier when I try to import this into other 3D programs to make sure that it ends up in the center of the file and not somewhere off far away where we'd have to search for it. So if we go into our panel up here, we can break this out into all of the individual paths that make up this logo. So it looks like we have a couple in here that aren't needed, so we're just going to go through, make sure all of them are actually parts of the word, and delete any that aren't needed. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to label each of these paths so that I know the difference between them just at a glance. Alright, now that we have these all labeled, I'm actually going to pull these out of this null object right here and delete that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and select the extrude effect, and this is going to go right into my effects panel right over here. After I've got that extrude in here, I'm going to select all of my paths, put them underneath the extrude, and you'll see that I already have one of the paths extruding right here. What I'm going to want to do is hit the hierarchical button right here, making sure that all of the letters can extrude and making a 3D object. Now, we're mostly done with the process right here, but there's a little bit of tweaking that we're going to do to make this look really nice. So if we go into the extrude effect, I'm going to go under the caps tab and I'm going to select fillet cap for both ends of the logo. This has already created a pretty nice effect. I like the little fillet that it's given me here, but I'm going to adjust it just a little bit to make that effect a little bit nicer. So once we've put the fillet caps on, we can actually go through different types of fillets that we can put on here. There's the linear, convex, concave, half circle, 1 step, 2 steps, and engraved. And all of those are pretty good options, but my favorite for this is probably going to be the concave version. Now, you'll notice that this didn't really make a difference in our fillet, and it won't until we up the radius here. Now, once we've put the fillet caps on both the front and back of our logo, we can go ahead and we can look through different types of fillets that we can have on here. So the one I'm looking for is the concave, and you'll notice that this doesn't change, and that's because we only have 1 step on our fillet. So that's just the amount of polygons that it's going to put in between the edges of our logo when we started and the fillet. So in order to add those extra steps, we're going to have to go and add about 5 steps to both sides here. And as you can see, that's added that concave fillet there. Now, I like this, but I think I'm just going to add a little bit more detail, maybe go to 8 steps. That looks nice and smooth, and I think I am happy with that fillet. Let's look at it from a distance. I think this looks very nice. This is about what I'm looking for, so I'm going to stick with that for my fillet. But you can feel free to play around with that until you find something that you really like. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is the extrusion depth. So what I'm going to do in the extrude effect is I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to change 20 to, let's try 80. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. So now that I've got the logo looking how I want, it's still not done. It's not an official model of the logo yet, so we're going to need to create that model using this extrude effect that we've made. So what we're going to want to do is go up to this extrude layer that we've created, right click, and go ahead and go to current state to object, and then blind this layer here. So the only object we're left with is this version of the logo that's been broken up into solid objects. And we can pull that out, and now we have solid modeled objects of each of our letters. Now if we go up to the display tab and we click lines, we'll be able to see all of the geometry in each one of our letters. Now when we use the effect, it created this geometry using n-gons, which is anything that has more than 4 points associated with it. If you wanted to get into high level production, I would recommend hiring someone to model out this logo for us, which is more than the effect that we just did. But for most companies, this is going to be more than you'll need. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and save this under that folder. Now I'm going to keep this extrude effect in here just in case we want to create a different version of this logo that we can quickly export just by opening up this file. We can then make our adjustments, create a 3D object based off of that, and then export it so that our project has the version of the logo that we need. So the next thing I'm going to do is create a null, and I'm going to put all of these 3D objects right underneath here and just call this Votech logo. Now I'll be able to collapse it and keep my board nice and clean. So another option in this program is I can add a texture to this logo. So we can go to create, new material, and then select our new material right here. I can see our new material has shown up in our materials editor. Now I can open this up and make any adjustments that I need to create the material that I'm looking for. So for me, I'm just going to add a reflection and then mess around with these settings. Maybe go up to color, give a little bit of that color that we had. We can go ahead and drag that material up to our null object, and now we have a texture for our logo. If I were to put other objects in the scene or things that could reflect on there, we would see that metal texture coming out too. Now I'm actually going to delete this texture because I'm looking to build those textures out in other programs. I'm just looking for the 3D file here. So now we have our Cinema 4D file, which we can save. We can also export different types of files that we can use in different programs. So the first thing I'm going to do is go up to File, Export, and export a wavefront OBJ. And click Save. Make sure all my settings are correct. Hit OK. Now if we check that folder, my OBJ file is right there. Now other common file types that we might use, if we go up to File, Export, I would also export an FBX file. And the last file I would export is an STL file. And we'll go ahead and double check that all of our files went to the folder, and there they are. And with that, you should have a 3D version of your brand's logo that you can use in any mediums you need it for. If this video was helpful to you, please leave a like, and if you have any questions about this process, please leave them as a comment below and I'll try to respond to you. This video is also part of a series, so if you'd like to see more of those videos, please subscribe to the channel and I'll be posting them soon. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.